Hello Sangha, welcome to the Abbots Address. Today is Friday, July 17th, 2015. So we're talking about the 6 roots of dispute, and last time we talked about an interesting topic that generated some response. It had to do with the Buddha teaching us about being envious and miserliness and how that relates to creating disharmony in the Sangha. And I got some really interesting comments back. Thank you for those that did. Some of them were public. Some people sent me them from private messages. So let me just respond to a few of those. One person who will remain anonymous because they sent me a private message said something like, I've been thinking about striving for a while, and this last address ties into that. And they go on to talk about, wanting to live up to their potential and how to achieve things. And then they're saying, however, I don't think you can do this without working hard at it. How do you work hard at something without striving for it or wanting something you don't have if you're working towards something you don't already have it? This ties in with the talk about envy, because frequently envy and competition are good motivators to work hard and to do well at what you do. And I would want to clarify this a little bit. If we kind of dig in there, envy does not actually make a good motivation. The particular mind of envy always produces the same unwholesome result, which is a contraction and a separation. Now that's a very different quality from, let's say, you see someone who's doing something that you would like to do, or you imagine yourself in a role that you would like to be in, and you find that to be really inspirational. Now, inspirational, to be inspired by something, is a very, very different thing than to experience yourself being envious of a thing or jealous of a thing. It's a different quality altogether, okay? So there's nothing unwholesome at all about being inspired to step up to your deepest and highest self and to manifest your life in a way that is fulfilling and upright. So that's totally fine. In fact, that's, when we look at the Buddha's teachings to his lay disciples about how to function in the world, one of the things that we talk about is right livelihood, and actually excelling at something that is meaningful to you as a person to do as a vocation. So there's no problem with being motivated and with being inspired and having an inspirational vision of something you would like to participate in or create or be a part of or manifest. Okay, so that's an important thing to keep clear. Let's see, boy, some other ones. Phil said, when you spoke about the opportunity to become a teacher, I was moved. Now I'm wondering if it was my own ego constructing another delusion for me. So this is there's sort of like an endless kind of a loop that can happen. You don't want to take the teachings of the Dharma and make yourself like a chronic second guesser of everything, where you can't function or move or do anything in the world. This business about, again, having something that we aspire to is really important. And one of the paramitas that's held up is vigor and energy. Okay, so Master Muman says, you should sit as though your head was on fire. Okay, these are different kinds of images that are talking about, like, it actually takes a lot of energy and a lot of vigor and a lot of motivation to do the real work. I mean, to really realize yourself and attain awakening is it's not just going to fall into your lap. I mean, it's or if it does, you won't recognize it. You've got to train to actually stabilize it and make it real. And so this is something that we, it takes going after to practice. I mean, the practitioners of the Dharma that I know that are inspirational to me, that have inspired me and that I've learned from, are very, very committed to the path. These people are manifestations of vigor and energy in the midst of maybe feeling blah and not into it at any given particular moment. That's not the overriding factor. It's this deep resonance with the practice and a decision. I'm going to do this. I'm doing this. Boom. And there's a decision that happens, and the practice ensues in this kind of a way. So it's a very healthy thing. And again, to be inspired by a person or a situation or an idea that's wholesome and healthy and is useful to do, this is fantastic. That's not the same thing as envy or jealousy. See, so and also the practice we talked about of empathetic joy, appreciating other people's success, is again it's a picture of a healthy way of relating to other people that have made progress in an area that we find meaningful. Okay, so hopefully that clears things up. Yeah, so we'll just leave it there. So thanks for those responses. Now the next set of the roots of dispute that the Buddha addresses here is being deceitful or fraudulent. See, so if a practitioner is deceitful or fraudulent, then they dwell, again, the pattern is amazing, they dwell without respect for the teacher. They dwell without respect for the teachings. They dwell without respect for the community of practitioners. And because they don't have respect for these things or correct relationship to these things, they don't accomplish the training. And because we don't accomplish the training, meaning attaining awakening, liberation, freedom, then this is why the sorrows are multiplied, you see. So let's talk about this. You might say, why would it ever come up? This business about deceit, about being fraudulent. Well, I can tell you from direct experience, it's probably one of the single most cancerous, debilitating things that can happen in the student-teacher relationship or in an inter-sangha relationship is when there's an untruthfulness in the relationship. It can't work. I mean, the fact is, with my teachers, the real work of awakening only is possible when I'm able to go into my teacher and be completely open and completely transparent, at least as completely as I possibly can be, over and over and over and over and over, unrelentingly so, with a lot of vigor, to say it that way, a lot of energy and a lot of intentionality. This business is relentless, right? So it's a matter of relentlessly honoring the truth and being unafraid to present that. It would be rather like going to a doctor and not really telling them the symptoms that you're experiencing. I mean, how strange would that be? And yet it happens. But it happens definitely. It can happen in the Dharma. And part of it is that part of our mind, that part of our experience that is that wounded, suffering, collapsed, separated, delusive self, it advocates for itself. It advocates for its continued existence. The delusion really wants to stay and wants to run the ship, and it'll advocate for that. And so there's lots of, in a way, there's a lot of momentum behind the neuroses. There's a lot of momentum behind the conditioning. And to turn around and go against that conditioning, initially it can feel just wrong because it's not what we're used to. And there are levels of this. Maybe, I meet my teacher for the first time or two and things are very nice and very friendly, and maybe the relationship builds and it develops and it sinks in and becomes more real, and we get into the deep end of the pool a little bit, and then the relationship with the teacher is not always just supposed to be pleasant and nice. I mean, I guess it could be, but it's not the point. I mean, it's the point of a surgeon doing the work, and of a patient presenting what's true, and then the play and the dance of actually the Dharma. So, in terms of harmony in the Sangha, we have this precept about not defaming the three treasures, about not speaking of others' errors and faults, about speaking truthfully. There's a lot in the precepts, the basic precepts, the Bodhisattva precepts that we hold up here, that have to do with this business of right speech and right truthfulness. So let's be aware of it. The Buddha counsels further that if you find this root of deceit, of facade in your practice, then root it up. See the deceit, see the facade, see the falseness, acknowledge it, take responsibility for it, let it go, and come back to the basic precept of honest, wholesome, truthful, transparent interaction with the self, with the teacher, with the Sangha, with the Dharma. And if you're practicing in such a way that you don't see this root of deceit and falsity, then make sure that we practice in a way that it doesn't rise up. Okay? And this matters not just because, it's not a good thing to tell a lie or something. It matters because actually the deep work that you have the precious opportunity to do as a human being, that you've encountered the Dharma, this deeply precious and important work can't happen if there's any kind of falsity or deceit or conscious misdirectives or anything like that going on. So please, drop the agenda, drop the fear, drop the masks, drop the armor. Simply be honest, be there and connect with me, with yourself, with each other, with the Sangha. And in this way, there can be harmony in the Sangha. Okay, so as last time, I really enjoyed the comments. Please send them to me. We'll keep interacting with them as we move through these teachings together. Thank you, everybody.